Sounds good. Tell me when. Sure.
We know if we're on or not there.
Yep. Hello. Yeah.
Black box. Good morning, councillors, staff, and members of the public gallery. Federation Council wishes to advise members of the public that council meetings will be recorded and available after each meeting on council's website. All care will be taken to maintain the privacy of those in attendance. However, as a visitor in the public gallery, your presence may be recorded. By remaining in the public gallery, it is assumed your consent is given in the event of your image is broadcast. This includes any filming by television cameras, if in attendance, is approved by the General Manager or Mayor. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting today, the Bangarang people, and acknowledge the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who now reside in this area. I extend that respect to elders, past and present, of the Bangarang Nations. Item number 3, apologies and applications for leave of absence by councillors.
Just the one, Mr Mayor, Councillor Meagle, who's already been granted leave of absence from 21 May to the 8th of August. So recommended there that the apology be accepted from Councillor Meagle.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Longmire, seconded by Councillor Kennedy. All in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. 3.2, applications for leave of absence.
Haven't received any new ones, Mr Mayor.
Item number 4, confirmation of minutes. 4.1, confirmation of minutes for the ordinary meeting, 18th of May 2021. Recommendation there, councillors. Moved by Councillor Law, seconded by Councillor Whitechurch. All in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. Disclosures of interest.
I have one, Mr Mayor, from Councillor Longmire for item 10.3 on the round 3 of the Fixing Local Road funding grant program, being a less than significant non-pecuniary family-owned property alongside Baldale Road, which is one of the roads under consideration for funding application.
Thank you. Would someone like to move that recommendation? Moved by Councillor Wells, seconded by Councillor Whitechurch. All in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. Item number 6 is the Merrill Manor Tim Fisher statue unveiling at Borry Creek. Well, there's no doubt councillors have read about the day, and we've received a lot of correspondence, as you'll see in the Cairo, the end of our paper. But I'd just like to say what a magnificent day it was. The roll-up of dignitaries that we had there, Governor, Deputy Prime Minister, our local member Justin Clancy, and our Susan Lee as well, members from the Holy See. The day couldn't have been better and just ran really smoothly. So congratulations to all staff and everyone involved in that. It was an absolute honour and just very well presented by Federation Council. So thank you. There's a recommendation there. Would someone like to move that, please? Moved by Councillor Kennedy, seconded by Councillor Wales. All in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. Item number 7 is the General Manager's report.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. 7.1 is the Water Management Conference. So to recommending a nomination of a councillor to attend LG New South Wales Water Management Conference held in Narrabri from 7th to the 9th of July. So over there, the recommendation is to consider, I'll just cross out that wording, sorry Rochelle, to cross out consider, and that council delegate Councillor Thomas to attend the Water Management Conference. She's expressed an interest to attend.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Longmire, seconded by Councillor Law. All in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. And if we wouldn't mind bringing councillors item 11.2, Defence Land at Mulwala Board to the...
Sorry, yeah, I did miss
If
that
that's
note.
okay.
Yeah. Do you want to move and second to bring that forward?
Yes, moved by Councillor Thomas and seconded by Councillor Wales. All in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried.
We'll just get some typing up there. Thomas and Wales bring forward
11.2.
11.2. Yeah. So 11.2 is a notice of motion submission by Councillor Thomas and Kennedy, and I'll just ask one of those councillors to read that and start the debate.
Are you sure? You want me to just...
Thank you, Councillor Thomas.
No worries, it's all good. So I think it's really exciting that we could both put in a joint submission We've certainly had representation, both of us probably in different capabilities. Would you consider that to be correct, Councillor Kennedy? So we will discuss that when we have opportunity to. So the joint submission reads that Council engage with relevant Commonwealth departments, political representatives and ministers in releasing DP 789195/1 as per the attached map, which I'm sure you all had a chance to look at, to Federation Council. And that point 2, that Council allows for futuristic zoning for DP 789195/1 in the urban growth strategy to commence soon to inform and amend local LEP, local environmental plan, to have capabilities of the suggested as per attached map. Would you like me to continue reading? Or?
Get a move in a second.
Can I get a mover and a second, please, councillors? Moved by councillor Levy, seconded by
No,
councillor
if it's a notice of motion, sorry, it'll be councillor Thomas.
Councillor Thomas.
Moving.
Move,
Yeah.
and seconded by councillor Kendi.
Yeah.
Would you like me to talk to it?
That's fine.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So, as you would be aware, everyone's familiar with the parcel of land that we're talking about. It's located in what would be considered a prime position in Mulwala. It has commonly known as Factory Hill, and I hope you don't mind if we use it as Factory Hill, even though it is theoretically Commonwealth land. It probably has some official title, but that's what a majority of the population would know it as, is Factory Hill. It's had a long history and association with Mulwala, and it has had an attachment to the ammunition factory, and that's why that portion of land was set aside for the ammunition factory. As you would be well aware, the ammunition factory has grown and developed, and it's becoming a more modern plant. So in that time, I would imagine that they've realised that necessary land that was portionally put aside will not be used by the factory. So therefore, it's sitting in trust with the Commonwealth. Some time ago, probably 6 weeks ago, we all had the opportunity to attend some sessions, some community sessions, to discuss the economic development strategy for Federation Council. I had the liberty of being able to go to the one in Mulwala, and one of the key industry drivers for our major employers in Mulwala is housing. They really would like to have some more skilled labour come to Mulwala to support their businesses, but their limitation is housing. And of course, as you would be aware, not only with housing, is also the other very important points is your water and sewer. We already acknowledge that our water and sewer needs to be upgraded in Mulwala. So there's opportunity there. The other point of call is the basic services. Mulwala really does not have any basic services. A lot of our basic services are located across the river in Victoria, in Yarrawonga. So once again, we could look at these parcels of land, to put in some holistic management for in and around our health services. We have no ability to host community health at the moment. So whether there's, some of that parcel of land could be set aside for health and community, aged care facilities, and also looking at our residential land. Mulwala is part of the growth of the Murray Corridor. So let's embrace this opportunity and have these engagement talks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, councillor Thomas. Councillor Kendi.
I really want to endorse what councillor Thomas put forward in. Like, I've looked at that land for a very long time, being born and bred in the town. It's a prime, it can be prime land where we can build some very exceptional houses. Like, imagine the view looking down over the lake from up that hill. Like, it'd be the Mulwala Heights. That's what you sort of call it. And along Bailey Street, my vision is probably have a doctor's surgery. We need to have more shops. Like, the main street is sort of finished, pretty much now. So have that one block in the corner there. But I think it's a vision to have something that we can work to. Like, obviously the council won't have the money to do the subdivision. It's got to probably get sold to a private investor or something. Like, some councils, it's a lot of money. Like, I think it was about 20 million or something that it got Defence bought it for off the federal government. It's not that many years ago, but it's and also after talking to Steve, like, we need a new water treatment plant in Mulwala, and the land behind at the end of that, along where the drain goes out from the factory, that's Defence owned too. That's probably the prime spot to put our new water treatment plant, because you know, just the water can come straight from the river or straight from the lake and get it there, and you know it's going to make Mulwala take it from here to there, and that's what we need to do, especially being along the river. Like it's a prime town. Like you see obviously Mulwala pays the dearest rates because our house is a dearer, you know, and because people want to come there. So that's what I see. You know, it needs to happen, and you know, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take years to get this, you know, something through. But we need to put it in place now so we can start the motions rolling. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Councillor Longline.
Yeah, in support of the opportunity, Mr Mayor, the history goes back that I can remember with former Corowa Council, Bill Gorman, initiated an opportunity to get somebody from ADF to come down. I think a lady, her name was Miss Strawn, came down and had a look at and addressed council at that time. So that was going back, you know, probably well over 10 years ago. But since then, and I'm not sure who was the Prime Minister at the time, but because they were nearly swapping every month, but in the Abbott and Turnbull era, at one of the budgets there was a summary made from the Prime Minister, whichever one it was. I can't be definite about that, but it mentioned the fact that the ADF, the government, the Commonwealth government, were prepared to release land available for community opportunity. So I think those two things have been, you know, in the history of looking at that opportunity. The council, both councils have been very patient, but the time has come because the Councillor Thomas explained absolutely there's no medical centre in Mulwala, and at the meeting for the budgetary explanation down there at Mulwala, a lady said there were two things missing. One was the medical opportunity because everybody goes to Yarra, and also preschool. But we've also recognised the growth in Yarrawonga, and so it's overloaded on their own side of the river. So it's a real becoming opportunity where we ought to, as a council, pursue it. Thank you.
Councillor Luss.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, having grown up in Mulwala and spent many years there, and I'm very familiar with the land known as Factory Hill, and I fully support the motion by Councillor Thomas and Kennedy and what benefits this could bring to our town of Mulwala if we got that land. So.
Thank you, Councillor Luss. Councillor Whitechurch.
Yeah, echoing all those council words, Mr Mayor, I think as a council we have a right to be looking after the whole shire as far as things go, and when Mulwala is struggling in many assets, one of them of course being no residential land, we've found that just by putting industrial land down there it's created interest. People are wanting to move to regional areas, and I think from our rate base it's important that we are continuing to grow because our expenses are continuing to grow. So it's one area that we do have an opportunity to continually make an income from, and people will buy the land if it's made available. So I'd support the motion. Well done to both.
Thank you. Any further comments, councillors? Just before putting it, I'd have to say personally, yeah, I'd absolutely support it. I mean, Federation Council, as Councillor Whitechurch has quoted, it's been the policy is to grow these communities, and there's a massive opportunity at Mulwala, beautiful area, but to create the opportunity for more residential development and those basic other needs that community wants, all in favour. So if there's no further comments, or Steve, did you have?
I'm just going to make a couple of comments here, if that's...
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you for that. Thanks, Mr Mayor. We have had some discussions already with the Department of Defence concerning not only this land, but if you have a look just to where you've got the red shaded area, or pink, or whatever colour you want to call it, depending on clarity of your computer, you will see it /27 off to the side, off to the western side, up on top of the hill. That's the bit that we're looking at for the water treatment plant. And we've had discussions with the department. Where the two circles are and the bit up in the treed area is where the two existing water towers is. One of them is ours, one of them belongs to Defence. Just be aware that that is a fairly significant sacred site. Even if you read some of the history of Mulwala, that was an area where the Aboriginal people gathered. So I don't know, and we were told that with our discussions with Defence that if we were to get a site up there, that's the reason we've got to go to 27, because they will not allow any further development on top of that hill. But having said that, that doesn't make any difference to the thing. And to be quite honest, I think council would need to look at that whole area there, right down to where that drain runs down, which runs right up in the top corner. See a little dark area running off that particular way. That's the main drainage area coming out of Lucan Street.
Yeah.
We don't own that drain. It's owned by Department of Defence. So therefore, every time we want to go in there to do anything, to clean it out or anything, we've got to get permission off them. So maybe that whole area which backs down onto our sewage treatment works is looking at. I did touch base with the department in the last couple of weeks again, and they've come back and said they've appointed a consultant to look at this whole area, the operation of this factory at Mulwala, and they expect that process to run for approximately 12 months, and they've now put us on the list to be consulted as a possible land. May be interested in some of the land that they may want to get rid of. So I think we're in there, but yeah, that's just the background to the motion. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Steve. If there's nothing further, I'll put it. All in favour? Aye. Against? Carried.
Thanks, councillors. Back to 7.2, Stronger Country Community Grant Program, seeking council endorsement for projects to be lodged. So this brings forward another state government grant under the Stronger Country Communities Program, which council's been very fortunate to receive, and it's great that the state government are continuing on with such a strong program. So round 4 opened on 1st of May 2021. $100 million includes up to $50 million for projects to enhance female participation in sport, and the remaining available for high quality community amenity and sports related infrastructure projects. So we've done a fair bit of work trying to review all our old projects, our projects that are on lists, capital work projects that weren't able to be funded or weren't developed enough for the current budget that you'll adopt today. Nevertheless, again, it's a fairly tight time frame to put forward applications, so staff were working forward on a range of projects they thought might fit, and we are aware, obviously, that the community with strong council support have been working on applications as well, and I've listed a number of those in the report: Cora Rutherglen Footy Club, Oakland's Rec Reserve, Cora Men's Shed, Cora Civic Bowls, which could be a council application. I'm not quite sure on that one, but it's some upgrades to part of our building here that the Bowls Club lease. How Long Cricket Club rooms. So there's a few there that we're aware of, and no doubt there'll be others that come forward for letters of support. A recommendation there that council note the report on the round 4 program and endorse the projects as listed, being the camp kitchen, roof and storage shed for Urena Caravan Park, shade sails across a number of council playgrounds facilities, medical centres, Oakland's Medical Centre fit out for medical equipment, and the Urena Clinic extension. So that's point 2. Point 3, support any other community applications for projects, provided they don't have any direct additional unbudgeted implications on council, and support any others that are on land that we don't own or manage, and that's generally been our practice as well. The staff do a really good job of providing that support, so that's for council to consider.
Thank you, moved by Councillor Longley, seconded by Councillor Thomas. Question or comments, councillors? Councillor Thomas.
Just in follow-up, last Monday night I was able to attend the Oaklands Town Improvement Committee general meeting, and we just had a couple of questions that needed to be raised. So we got talking about the medical centre in Oaklands, and as far as the community out there, they actually were thinking that it was just the computer system before that. Can you just give us some commentary in and around the fit out of medical equipment?
Yeah, so happy to answer that one. The computers is one part, the hardware for all that, and then the rest of it would be things like your medical examination, lift beds, and basically anything else other than really minor medical things. But there's a general, the Rural Doctors Network as well as the accreditation bodies have a general list of things that a medical centre needs to be accredited. And that was...
So it's not quite at accreditation stage, is that what you're telling?
Not currently, no. We've been through it recently. The Mayor and I went through with Dr. Geary just on a few little things he needs resolving in terms of the building itself and exterior. But yeah, there's things built you expect to be within it. Benching, furniture, waiting room chairs, the lights that come off the walls for the exam areas. So the fixtures are in. It's just all that.
Is there some way we can convey that message to the Town Improvement Committee so they're on the same page?
Yeah.
Because they're just thinking it's just computers.
Yeah.
That would be great. And the other point of call, With the storage shed at the Urana Caravan Park, and all my fellow councillors, I'm sure, would be on the same page as myself, we actually received a letter from the managers in and around the storage shed. In the back of my mind, I had a feeling that we'd already put aside some money for that particular storage shed with our drought funding in round one,
Yeah, the drought funding are all listed here in the
but
project.
they're not all listed. That's another thing I need to talk to you today.
Okay, yep.
And I consulted with
I
my
would
fellow
have thought that,
councillors,
yes.
and I said, on that bus trip, I'm sure that was one of the projects that we really considered
Actually, my recollection.
in 2019.
Certainly listed,
Yeah,
Because I
but missed out.
never got approved.
never got approved for whatever reason.
We put money,
But it was definitely on that list, wasn't it?
Yeah,
was on
I
the.
remember them talking about it, and
but it definitely was.
it was like nearly their number one priority was this storage shed, and here we are nearly 2 years later, and they don't have their storage
I think
shed.
we actually approved the camp kitchen.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
That's in round 2. Yeah, I see
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
There
Yep.
wasn't enough money to do it.
Yeah, right. So,
I think it went in an overpass bridge.
As you'll notice, on
you can store linen in.
on that list, like the finishing of the camp kitchen, so there was never enough money,
Yeah.
and that one got adopted.
So, I mean, I really felt for them when we received this letter
Yeah.
on our computers, because I'm thinking, well, here we are 2 years down the track and they're still storing their linen in an inappropriate way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I did reply to them. And the other point of call, just to bring you up to speed, with the Oaklands Rec Reserve, they have approached the Town Improvement Committee for a letter of support with their next grant round, to get those female change rooms. So that grant must go in fairly soon, so it's exciting for them out there.
Yeah, that'd be to fit out that bottom, the old
Yeah, it
tank.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Longmire.
Mr Mayor, is it an opportunity for me to speak against the motion, the recommendation?
Sure. Yep. Yeah.
First of all, I'd like to ask a question for clarity in regard to the other submissions from community groups. Council has the opportunity, no doubt, to, by the look of it, the way my understanding is, to also propose project endorsement. How do we get on in the conflict there, Mr General Manager, in regard to the other entities that have submitted an application or will against the council being also in that area? Is there any sort of overriding there? I'm not sure of the word that I need to say, but you may understand what I'm trying to comment on.
And what I didn't put in here, sorry, was the actual total amount to be allocated across Federation. It's about 1.7 million.
594.
5, is it?
1.594.
594, sorry. Yeah, 594. But very good point. The government, this and a range of other programs, even federal government, have changed over the years and put and brought an ability for groups to put forward their own projects outside of council. I can't really answer how they would manage that conflict. I don't think they have any. I don't think the government bodies that do the grant assessment would have any particular preference over a council versus. It'll all come down to whether it's female friendly and those strong things. So I think it's really a matter of the group having enough capacity is more where we're worried, making sure, which I'm sure the footy club will, because they've got some other people working with them on that one for Cora Rutherglen, and we've made it known that we'd support something over there. We think the facilities are a bit underdone for what's going forward with an O&M club. So yeah, I think that one there would have a pretty strong thing. But when it all gets washed out, I don't know how the government would see it. I don't think they'd have any particular issue with oversubscription. Like if we put forward an amount well above the 1.5, I don't think they'd have an issue. I think the Coro one's not listed there, but I think they were looking for 700,000 or 800,000 or slightly more in their one. It does come down to some contribution type things, which I'm not detailed across, but Jared and Luke certainly in our grants area are fairly across what they're going to bring forward in terms of contributions.
Okay.
We're not proposing any other than what's in our budget for any sort of contributions. But yeah, it is a thing. We've seen Building Better Regions get funding directly to clubs and things, which is totally fine if they meet the criteria. And as long as it's in our communities, we don't really care whether it goes to the council or it's some ways it helps us. It's a less project we've got to manage.
Yeah, it's been said to me over the weekend in regard to, since the agenda has been listed,
Yeah.
that the opportunity has been done and well done throughout the Federation Shire Council area for other football, netball groups, and still is becoming for monies to be spent, endorsed by council. So the question was asked of me at the weekend, why wouldn't council endorse the Cora Rutherglen proposal? Because the facilities over there, especially for ladies' change rooms and also disabled toilets, there's not an opportunity on John Ford Oval for a disabled toilet that I'm aware of, other than the access down at Rowers Park. And yet, of a Saturday, the access to that opportunity is locked because it's still for the general public. So people that go, and I've seen people that want to use those toilets, not able to because the gates are locked. And so in this, people that have asked me the question, how come, this has come about and we haven't supported that opportunity. So that's the first point.
Can I just grab you on that?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a really key point.
Please
Yeah,
do.
just to understand. So the report here is talking about the staff submitting applications as council.
Yeah.
And you're probably aware of that, but I just want to make sure everyone's aware of that versus the others coming forward. Like I just noticed here, even if they were all to get up, you've got 80 grand for the Urana Caravan Park and 80 grand for shade sales and 350. So even that plus the one over the road here, it'd still be around that amount. So, but what Jared, and that will give some direction here as to what we would submit ourselves, and then what you're saying is, do we actually take on that application and put forward on behalf of the footy club?
Support and the other question is, people have said to me, and I quote what ratepayers are saying and the general community is saying, well, council's endorsed and supported many upgrading of the football clubs and club rooms and facilities out in the country, and that's okay, that's fine. So the question's been asked me of that one.
Yeah.
And so that's the second part of the equation, why I'm voting against it. And the third part of it is for the opportunity for the medical centre at Oaklands, for the monies to be allocated through there. We've already spent some time here this morning speaking about, in principle, the deficit down at Mulwala for medical centres and other things. And it was mentioned the other night about at the budget meeting that people, looking, and I've mentioned, and Councillor Thomas, in regard to should we not be also, in this situation, putting an opportunity going towards securing either land or a building or whatever for a future medical centre at Mulwala. Remembering that the facility that's been built at Oaklands, the council have got that organised, and it's a good building, and so that's in position. And the question's been asked: why does the council have to outfit the doctor's surgery or whatever he's got there, waiting room, the whole in regard to that? So there's a real thing out there in the community that these questions been asked on the opportunity for this grant funding.
Yeah.
Councillor Longway, just a comment on the first point you made about the grant funding.
This would be in
The government's made it clear that council can put in their own applications.
Yes,
But
understand.
public can put in their applications as well. Point 3 of this recommendation says that council will support outside projects as well. So we'll basically give them a letter of support for any community or football club that wants to put in for it. There's certainly a choice whether they're a private organisation or a council asset would determine whether council puts it in or doesn't. In relation to the question that comes up, and I was always fearful about that question about the doctors in relation to merger. I spoke about on the radio this morning, because we have two completely different medical facilities. We're under rural and remote doctors from Oaklands and beyond, whereas examples that you go further out, they supply the doctor with a car, fuel, facility, house, just to have a doctor in those communities. It's the only way they can get a doctor, because the bigger, larger communities have the population to support a doctor and enable that person to be there and make a good living. But that's why we are under a different program, because it's rural and remote. So that's a very big difference between a doctor being at Oaklands or Urana or in a more highly populated place like Corowa. So that, as I said, that was one of my concerns with the mergers, that would people understand what happens in the old Urana Shires compared to Corowa Shire, and that is a big difference. I don't think there's anyone in the room that wouldn't support in or with this grant an opportunity to buy land or outside the grant. If that's a necessary service that community at Mulwala wants or needs, we would, as a council, I would imagine, absolutely support it. The old Urana Shire, which at times annoys me a bit in the new Shire, we had motion in the books to do this work way back when to the Urana surgery. You can hardly get a wheelchair. You can't get an ambulance up to the front door to get a wheelchair out for a patient. So that has been sitting on the books as far as an old Urana Shire motion for a long time, and I'm sure we had budgeted money for it at that time. Hasn't been done. So I hopefully that will be done and finished off and completed. Very happy. I understand that, an example of the medical services and how successful they are in Corowa is this Dr. Aon's new facilities that he's building down here. Absolutely going gangbusters. And there's been conversations of, extending that services into Mulwala. So I think as a council, we have to, if that's a service that's needed down there, and I'm sure that's what the council will support. Just a couple of comments in those areas.
Thank you.
I've just checked, for Councillor Long, I've just checked with Joe. I think point 3 here, Councillor Long, might covers that we will support any other applications. The Oakland's football ground one that I've listed back in the community group, that their committee's putting forward that application. They've asked us for a letter of support, but they're putting forward that. Admittedly, they are a committee of council, but they're volunteering and doing their work on getting that grant application together. So we understand the football club, as we would want them to do, with putting in all that work themselves. So I think, whether we're not saying we're not endorsing it, but we're not specifically putting Corowa Rutherglen as one of the council submitted projects that Luke's literally typing out and doing himself. So that was just to make that clear, yeah.
Councillor Whitchurch.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, just I hear what Councillor Longmire says about the community wondering why council would go and do that. Looking back through the past stronger community grants, like round 3 and round 2, a lot of the projects that benefited the communities were actually driven by council because they were unallocated funds at the end of the day. I mean, there were some big ones distributed. How Long Tennis Club got one back in the day, the football club got one, the golf club in Corowa received some money. So there's been other things that council have actually supported, and there's been other things that council have put forward. So I know this one will certainly be oversubscribed. What the council's got, what we've got up there is certainly some of it. Corowa's comes in at 600. How Long Golf Club's going to put in one for 300. It's all about how you present it. I know personally that we've spent 10 grand on a grant writer for ours, and people wonder why they don't get grants. You see some of the grants that come in versus some of the grants that are done professionally, and that's where it comes down to. The council certainly write letters of support to all the businesses and all the clubs, but it's pretty nitty gritty on how you get that grant.
And I think just council's own money was used like 50-odd thousand through to get all that structure plan done around it, including that football ground. So that was ratepayers' money used to try and give Corowa Rutherglen and other clubs, Rowers Club and everyone, a vision of what you can achieve. And I think that, I hope it gets up. And I think that sort of planning that council done through ISD would be, obviously they're going to do some detailed planning on the change rooms upgrades, but I think that sort of thing was a commitment of council to say we want to support these clubs, and we went and done the structure planning for it, consulted and got the thing. Sorry, Councillor Longmire.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Long.
Just a point on Howland Football Club had to go through the same process. They employed a grant writer, the same grant writer that the golf club is using. And we have used this professional grant writer numerous times on every grant with a success rate of 98%. We have competed with council and other community organisations with Federation Council when we got our own grants. It's a matter of getting out there. We didn't, council gave us a letter of support. In fact, we have a letter of support now. We're applying for a light upgrade, about $280,000. We've got the grant already written, and with a letter of support from council too. So yes, like everyone else, we're all in the same bowl. We're all mixing, all competing, but council doesn't, in my opinion, have any advantage over anyone else.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, I'll put it. All in favour?
All right.
Against?
Please note that be recorded.
Carried. Thank you, councillor Longmire.
Yeah.
7.3, councillors, is the Urena Caravan Park Management Contract request for variation. I've just asked that we defer that report to the closed session.
Someone like to move that, please, councillor? Moved by councillor Kennedy, seconded by councillor Law. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried.
Same for 7.4, Cora Aerodrome Agreement to lease to Amber Airports. Just an update report, defer to close.
Thank you. Moved by councillor Law, seconded by councillor Kennedy. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried.
7.5 is the common seal of council. A recommendation there to fix the common seal to DP admin sheets and a section 88B and associated documents. Essentially, it was to subdivide off the Cora Aquatic Centre land, separate from the ballpark oval, separate from the caravan park reserve. So just tidies up those and makes 3 new allotments in there.
Thank you. Moved by councillor Law, seconded by councillor Whitechurch. Any questions or comments, councillors? If not, I'll put it. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried.
Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr General Manager. We'll now move on to the item number 8, Director of Corporate and Community Services Report.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Mr
Jo.
Mayor. Thank you, councillors. This first report is the monthly financial performance report for May 2021. So in summary, our expenditure and income are tracking on budget. We're expecting to deliver within the budget that was adopted by Council for the 2020-21 financial year. That report is recommended to you for noting.
Thank you. Moved by councillor Law, seconded by councillor Kennedy.
Meeting going.
Any questions or comments, councillors? If not, I'll put it. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried.
Agenda item 8.2 relates to the delivery program, the annual operational plan for next financial year, the long-term financial plan and the annual budget for next year.
Thank
So-
you. Moved by councillor Wales, seconded by councillor Longley.
Joe, can
Any
you
questions
introduce
or
it?
comments? Sorry, Joe. would you-
Comment?
Oh,
Did
On
you,
what you go.
doesn't worry me.
councillor Longmire.
I don't know, that should happen, Mr Mayor, ladies before gentlemen. That's it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Well, I think we will.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that, councillor Thomas.
Ladies,
I'll ask you your comment anyway, councillor Longmire. I'd just like to thank the staff once again for pulling together the community engagement opportunities. From what I believe, unfortunately, I couldn't get to them all. In fact, I could only get to one because of a commitment I had in Wentworth. But I really do believe from the feedback that I've received thus far that they all went really well and smoothly. And I think community really enjoyed that opportunity to engage, not only with the budget presentation, but obviously also with some of the directors that were able to attend afterwards and asking questions. Just that personal contact was really good. I just thought maybe through the mayor that maybe we could just do a little quick, couple of comments each for those people who were able to attend the budget sessions and see if they picked up any key elements, because we did have that opportunity to be out there within our community. Just quickly, I went to Oakland's. I can go first. I went to Oakland's. You probably agree, Director Shannon, it was probably a little bit, I don't know how the others were, but it was probably a bit tough. We had a couple of tough characters in the room, but that's good because if we don't have those squeaky wheels, well, how else do we know what's going on? Probably a couple of the really key elements that they were bringing to the table were, once again, our roads. You would probably confer with that, Councillor Longmire. Probably they really were, and our efficiencies. They were certainly questioning our efficiencies, but that's their prerogative. They were able to do that, and we thank them for bringing those to the table. So thank you.
Thank you, councillor Thomas. Councillor Longmire.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. First of all, can I congratulate and applaud Director Shannon. She had a tough gig in regard to certainly in the country areas, but I really compliment you, Director Shannon, in regard to not only did you go out the front, you prepared everything, you put together the whole opportunity for what had to happen, and I certainly at the Oakland's opportunity, perhaps just before the General Manager and Mayor were able to get there, it, as Councillor Thomas described, it was a couple of tough characters there that asked pretty hard questions, and I actually, without any permission, Mr Mayor, intervened to say, you don't, to these gentlemen, don't shoot the messenger. but she handled it beautifully. So, yeah, well done in regard to that. And certainly those same tough characters, when you get them on their own and you talk about all they want is better roads. And, you know, and then the long-term financial plan that was so well presented in regard to lifting the rates, I think they'll accommodate that. You know, they'll have their little grizzle, or big grizzle, but they'll certainly acknowledge the fact if they see the graders and the moving and all the rest of it, which we have our roads committee meeting commencing, I think, on Thursday, in a opportunity to get the ball rolling in that regard. I think we can handle that situation going forward as well. But well done, Director Shannon.
Any further questions or comments? Councillor Watchers?
No.
Oh, you didn't, yeah. Well, yeah, I'd certainly like to endorse your words, Councillor Longmire, to Director Shannon, our General Manager, Adrian Butler, and also Steve Carmichael was there for his expert opinion on roads, and he was able to clear the air a couple of times with his informative nature.
And I missed the one at Oaklands, unfortunately.
You missed that one.
They would have loved to have seen you, Steve.
Such as life.
But I suppose, just in a little bit of my summary, it is good to have the opportunity. We all see things and needs from our own perspective of times and what affects our own lives. But at some of those public meetings, you get the opportunity to see a more residential attitude, a rural attitude. So, you know, that's the tough call for councils is to create fairness and quality and blend it together. And I think I pointed out at that Oaklands meeting that, you know, something like 46% of our rates are residential and 44 rural. So we've got a very even mix of ratepayers. But for getting even our rates, we're so reliant on major grants for our road networks that, you know, we've always got to be appreciative for state and federal funding to support that, regardless of what rates we pay.
I think just on, Mr Mayor, I was at a couple of councils out further west of here yesterday looking at a horse of all things, but I was talking to this farmer about, he's in Emerge Shire further out, and he had the same view that Councillor Longmire raised as well, that, you know, they put these big shires together and already were big, some of these ones where I was, and he said he hadn't seen a grader for 2 or 3 years, whereas at least he used to get something done. But I think that's the opportunity Steve and his team have been working really hard towards, and I look forward to that roads strategy stuff coming forward, because that's, you know, so overwhelmed with capital works, not only for all the community stuff, but a lot of capital road works happening, but that still doesn't please a farmer that lives out the back of some little road that's got a skinny little bitumen road that's about 50-year-old. So I think, and he said the same thing, he thinks they're trying hard, but there's been so much, you know, thrown at councils, and they just look forward to trying to reset. And I think where Steve, Tony, Rintala especially of leading that is going to be a lot of what those landowners want. They just want to know when and how things can improve. But also take my hat off to Joe and the team and our directors and even Alana in comms, because the work they've done through these sessions went right across the Shire, and a lot of councils supported these meetings and went to them all. And to bring this back to a ordinary council meeting and not have to have a late June meeting, another credit to the way Joe and the team have ran the timing to make sure that we can be pretty clinical with getting these things forward, and the rates harmonisation, a big part of all that coming forward in a few weeks or so as well. So it's been a terrific effort, so well done.
Excellent. Did you find the horse, Mr. Butler?
Yeah, he just looks a bit too goey, I think, so we're just going to park him. Yeah.
Or, Joe, did you want to make a comment at all, or you?
Probably the only thing I'd say is, you know, I think it was an invaluable experience actually spending time out with community members. It is great to hear all the different views, and I do like to hear the different perspectives of people and understand what are the things that are important to them. So I see that as an important part of my role. So I appreciate all those councillors that attended those, and community members as well.
Thank you.
Just one,
Councillor
if I may, I know it's out of the rules of debate, I understand that, but I actually had coffee in Gundagai on Friday morning on the way back to Sydney to go up and see an unfortunate football game. But however, having said that, all in the shop windows in Gundagai, it's de-amalgamate, right, with Cootamundra. In the journey around, even with the farmers currently today, I have not heard that word used once. So that's a positive.
Thank you. If there's nothing further, I'll put it. All in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried.
Agenda item 8.3 is the annual review of the GIPA Agency Information Guide. So this is done in accordance with the Government Information Public Access Act of 2009. The Agency Information Guide is available on Council's website, and it outlines the kinds of government information that will be available to the public and how they can actually access that. So the recommendation to you is to adopt the updated Agency Information Guide and for it to be placed on the Council website in accordance with the Act.
So moved by Councillor Longmire, seconded by Councillor Longley. Any questions or comments? Councillor Thomas.
This is a question without notice. Last week, a ratepayer actually has shown me a letter she has received through this act requesting information from, so she's like a third party, come from council. So if she allows that information to go ahead, does that appear on the, as public record?
So it might be worth me bringing back a further report to Council on that, but in summary, all the records or the information that Council received is a public record. Because Council is a recognised government sector organisation. So all of the records that Council has are public records. Then we have to look at assessing those of what things are available to be released under open access or what has to have a special application put in. Where it's information from another party, there are approvals required from that party. So that's where there'll be a letter will go to an individual requesting if they have any objections to their information being released, and usually it's a report of some kind, and then they provide us with a response. Then we have to do what's called a public interest test, and so we actually have to have a look at that response, look at the Act, look at the request that's actually come through, and make a decision about whether that will be released or not. So there's quite a process in releasing information. It's not automatically releasable, but a public interest test has to be undertaken. So
I suggested she actually ring and ask because I couldn't answer this question for her, hence that's why I brought it to the table today. Yeah,
but I will follow up.
if you don't mind, that would be great.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments, Councillor? If not, I'll put it all in favour. Aye. Against, carried.
Agenda item 8.4 provides you with an update on the rates harmonisation process that's currently underway. So there's been a number of community engagement activities, and then this has also been invaluable to get feedback from various community members at our community sessions, and also from those that are members of the Rates Advisory Committee. A further report will be coming to July to adopt the rating strategy for the 2021-22 financial year. This report is recommended to you for noting.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Longley. Any questions or comments? If not, I'll put it all in favour. Aye. Against, carried.
My final report at 8.5 provides you with some clarification on the works expenditure report that came to Council in April earlier this year. So a query was made regarding whether Council was significantly overspent on its 2021 works expenditure budget. As detailed in the report, there are no actual overspends, and there are some areas that appear as though they could be overspends, but they are ones where the budget is actually sitting in a different work order line that it's been separated differently to how we would like it to be, or where we're managing that project over the life of the project over multiple years. And we're managing those to make sure that we deliver those within budget. So the recommendation before you is to note the report.
Question.
Moved by Councillor Law, seconded by Councillor Longmire. Question.
In regard, Director Shannon, is it a typo on the identifying through the process of it's a total budget, available budget for water, and then it's available for water. When I printed it out, total, I'm not sure, should that be for works?
Sorry, which
on the sheet?
On that sheet, sorry, yes. And sorry, which line?
It happened 3 times with the roads. Down in the comment section.
Yes.
The very last word in the comment section is footer.
Sorry.
And then there's some up I think it's just, I've worked it out a typo.
Yes, sorry, that is a typo. Thank you, Councillor Bulmer. My apologies. Yes.
Good on you, thank you.
Any further questions, councillor Thomas?
And I know, Director Shannon, we have spoken about this in the past with the drought funding. How's that report progressing?
That report will be coming to the next council meeting, Councillor Thomas.
Okay, thank you. Anything further, councillors? If not, I'll put it all in favour.
Aye.
Against carried. And thank you, Director Shannon. Is it only tea time now, or shall we keep another report? How do we feel, councillors?
4 minutes.
We've got 4 minutes, and it looks like the next report's going to take longer than 4 minutes. So I think would someone
Who's a
like to
cup of
move?
tea? Smoko?
Moved by Councillor Longway, seconded by Councillor Law. Suspend the rules. All in favour?
Aye.
Against carried.